the highest mountain on Earth, rising 8,849 meters above sea level. Every year, hundreds of climbers begin the greatest journey of their lives, hoping to reach its summit. Months of preparation, thousands of dollars in equipment, and years of experience. Yet Mount Everest is a mountain that doesn't forgive mistakes. One wrong step can have consequences that no one can escape. Freezing temperatures, powerful winds, and dangerously thin air make survival more difficult with every step toward the summit. Not everyone who climbs Everest ever returns. Some become part of the mountain forever. Today we will explore the stories of those who lost their lives on Everest and why the world's highest mountain never gave them back. Reaching the summit of Mount Everest is not only about strength, it is about patience, experience, and knowing when to turn back. Climbers spend weeks moving between higher camps and lower elevations, allowing their bodies to adapt to the dangerously thin air. This process is called acclimatization, but above 8,000 meters, everything changes. Every breath becomes a struggle. Every step feels heavier. The lack of oxygen weakens both the body and the mind. Even experienced climbers can lose focus and make dangerous mistakes. For many, reaching the summit is only half the journey. The real challenge is surviving the way back down. That is why Mount Everest is not only the highest mountain on Earth. It is also one of the most dangerous places on the planet. Above 8,000 meters lies what climbers call the death zone. At this altitude, the human body can no longer recover. With every passing minute, it slowly becomes weaker. Every breath contains far less oxygen than the body needs. Simple decisions become more difficult. Some climbers experience confusion. Others suffer from hallucinations or lose their sense of direction. Even standing still for too long can become dangerous. Reaching the summit is an incredible achievement, but on Mount Everest, the greatest challenge often begins after the summit. When climbers must find the strength to make it back down alive, the freezing cold drains energy with every passing hour. There is almost no room for error. One small mistake can quickly become impossible to recover from. Recovering a body from Mount Everest is one of the most dangerous missions in the world. At these extreme altitudes, every rescue puts more lives at risk. Moving a single climber can require an entire team of experienced mountaineers. Freezing temperatures, steep slopes, and the lack of oxygen make every operation incredibly difficult. For this reason, some climbers are never brought home. They remain exactly where they took their final steps. Over the years, snow and ice become part of their story, and every climber who continues toward the summit must pass by the silent reminders left behind on the mountain. Many recovery missions are simply too dangerous to complete. Rescuers must sometimes leave the fallen behind to make sure the living can return safely. One of the most well-known figures on Mount Everest became known simply as Green Boots. For many years, his identity remained uncertain. Because of the bright green climbing boots he was wearing, climbers gave him that unforgettable name. His body rested inside a small rocky shelter beside one of the main routes to the summit. For years, thousands of climbers passed that location on their way to the top. Most never stopped for long. At that altitude, every second mattered. The mountain gave climbers only one choice: keep moving or risk becoming another victim of Everest. Over time, Green Boots became more than a single climber. He became a silent reminder of the price that Everest can demand, a reminder that the mountain offers incredible beauty, but never without great risk. For many years, the true identity of Green Boots remained uncertain. Over time, many researchers came to believe he was most likely the Indian climber Tsewang Paljor. In 1996, he was part of an expedition attempting to reach the summit of Mount Everest. A powerful storm turned the descent into a fight for survival. He and several members of his team never made it back. For years, the place where he rested became a silent landmark for climbers heading toward the summit. His story reminds the world that reaching the top does not always mean success. On Mount Everest, the hardest part of the journey is often finding a way back home. For many climbers, his story is a reminder that on Everest, reaching the summit is optional, but returning home is everything. There is a place on Mount Everest known as Rainbow Valley. At first, the name sounds peaceful, but the reason behind it is deeply tragic. Over the years, colourful climbing jackets and equipment left behind on the mountainside became visible against the snow. This is how the area earned its name. Rainbow Valley is not remembered for its beauty, but for the stories it silently holds. Every climber who passes through this part of the mountain is reminded that reaching the summit always comes with risk. On Everest, every step forward is also a reminder of those who never made the journey back. For many climbers, walking through Rainbow Valley is one of the most emotional moments of the entire expedition. No one speaks, no one celebrates. The silence alone is enough to remind everyone how unforgiving the mountain can be. In 1996, Mount Everest witnessed one of the deadliest disasters in its history. Several expedition teams were attempting to reach the summit on the same day. As climbers began their descent, the weather changed without warning. A violent blizzard swept across the mountain, reducing visibility to almost nothing. Many climbers became separated from their teams. Some ran out of oxygen. Others became trapped high on the mountain with no safe way down. The freezing temperatures and powerful winds made every rescue attempt more dangerous. By the time the storm finally cleared, several experienced climbers had lost their lives. The tragedy shocked the climbing world and forever changed the way Everest expeditions were planned. Even today, climbers still study that disaster, hoping its lessons will save lives in the future. Even today, Mount Everest remains one of the greatest challenges on Earth. But nature is no longer the only danger. In recent years, record numbers of climbers have attempted to reach the summit. On busy days, long lines can form high above the clouds. Every minute spent waiting means using more oxygen. Every delay increases exhaustion, and at these extreme altitudes, time can become the difference between life and death. Everest itself has not changed, but the way people climb it has. The mountain still demands the same respect it always has, and it remains completely unforgiving to those who underestimate it. For those who dream of standing on the roof of the world, Everest offers unforgettable views, but it also demands absolute respect. On this mountain, confidence alone is never enough to guarantee a safe return. For centuries, Mount Everest has challenged every generation that dared to climb it. Some reached the summit, some never returned, but every story left behind has become part of the mountain's legacy. Perhaps the greatest lesson Everest teaches us is simple. Nature is not something to conquer. It is something to respect. This is NEXORIS, exploring the world's greatest mysteries.